Welcome back to the next ICG webinar where we are going to show you, the UK estate agency, in less than 10 minutes, how you can increase your fee levels in this post-COVID property market. So welcome everyone. And today I'm joined by Amy Shields from Spriv, Bob Scarr from Corwell, Jamie Cook from I Am Sold, Christian Byfield, the Viking estate agent from the Depository, and Charlotte Campbell from the Able Agent. So welcome, boys and girls. Thanks for joining me today. What I'd like to do is let's start off with Bob. Bob, how do estate agents increase their fee levels?
The only person that's got a problem with fee levels is the lister. There's a far bigger problem between the ears of the lister than there is between the ears of the vendor. And if it's been left to the point where there is a problem between the ears of the vendor, it's because the lister hasn't said the right things in the build-up to the appointment and on the appointment. And if more agents could just get that simple truth into their head, literally, the world would be a different place. There's no need to run scared. I'll give you a tip in a minute as to why you shouldn't run scared, but the biggest single problem is belief. If the person going out to, I remember years ago when I first moved to the Birmingham area, I went out on an appointment with one of the listers there, and she came out with the immortal lines when I was challenging her about how much she quoted. She said, "Well, I wouldn't pay an estate agent that much to sell my house, so I can't see how I could possibly ask somebody else to pay the same thing." So literally, she was the one with the problem. As far as a tip as how to get your people into that thinking about it, write down on a piece of paper 10 things that you think you do really well, certain things that you do better than any of your competitors, and then give yourself an honest audit personally of how well you really, really do on those things. You say you do this, you say you do that, but do you really? And if you don't score very highly, sort yourself out, then start charging higher fees. But most of the time you'll find that you are quite good at those things, so have more confidence. Do the things you say you do and have more confidence. That's my two penneth.
Thank you, Bob. Charlotte, you train estate agents. Now, is this a training issue? Because to be honest with you, I've worked out there's roughly 12,000 one-man, one-woman band estate agents. But when I actually work out how many independent trainers there are, I can never fill those fingers up. So isn't it amazing that there's 12,000 estate agents, but I can't go beyond 10 on how many trainers? Is it a training issue?
I think a lot of it's a training issue. I think a lot of it's a confidence issue. I think for me, it's not just the lister's problem. I agree to a certain extent that it's a mindset thing. I think it is that. But I also think it's a process and a responsibility within the team as to how they approach the whole process. Because surely the first opportunity to spot business and get new listings is when we first speak to a client. So we have all these inquiries that if we impress them from day one and demonstrate our knowledge and expertise, that we're much more able to control the process rather than always being reactive to, portal leads or whatever it may be. So first of all, I think it is using the data that you have to be as proactive in generating business. Going back to the recessions, I've been through a number of those as well. And I know...
No, you're not old enough, babe.
Very much.
You must have been a child when you were in the last recession.
I was, but I've been through the hard times back in the early 90s. So I know that you learn good habits in tough times, and you have to generate business and generate leads. That's where you win. And at the other point of it is, what does the process look like to the customer? Are you the only one offering expertise, getting your client legally ready, suggesting what they do with the building regs, etc., a million other things I could train in that make you stand out? And how well, going on from what Bob said, do you know what your competitors are doing as well? Because if your competitors are doing a certain thing and you can overcome what they're doing and be better than them, then you shouldn't fear the fact that your fees are higher. It's about being confident, explaining why and demonstrating it.
It's interesting. I talk to an awful lot of estate agency bosses, and one question I always slip in is, when was the last time you went out with the valuer? Half of them have never been out with their valuer, and once was a few years ago. Isn't it amazing? We're sending these people out, we don't even know what to say. Amy, let's go to you.
Yeah, obviously, I've done stacks of fee training with the two companies that I've worked for. I was very, very lucky to have a real variety of different agency training, and a lot of it was obviously fee focused. I completely agree with Charlotte that it is a mindset, it's confidence, and the one confidence kick I had, and I'll never forget it, I won't name him, but hopefully he's watching, but I went out with an estate agent back in the recession, 2008. We were in quite a low value area, working in central Reading at that point. And our standard fee was 2% during the recession. He actually crossed out the 2% and wrote a 3 next to it, and got the signed contract and walked out with the instruction. And that for me was the biggest confidence boost. I was at shot, Christ, well, he can do that. Well, I'm going to do that. And then we had 3% contracts drawn up, and we were using them throughout the recession. And then obviously fees, unfortunately, they did come down, but I think it proved to me that you can do it. And I think the biggest thing for me, again, and people have mentioned it, knowing what your competition are doing. For me as an instruction taker, I was always looking for a value add, a differentiator of what I offered that was different, and being able to stand out from that competition. So what was it that I did as an estate agent that no one else in my town or village that I worked in did? And look for that and focus on that thing to build up that trust, because that trust relationship with the seller is so important. And as soon as you've got that, and reiterating what Bob has said as well, that as soon as you've got that relationship, it's that confidence, just saying, with this much, this is it. But if you've built up that relationship and trust with the seller at that point, you've got your differentiator, you've got your value add, you've got it. You've just got the confidence to say it and stick by it.
Let's
go
on.
That's it.
Jamie, and then we'll come back to the Viking.
I get to go before him. That's good news. Yeah, I mean, there's great points there. It's the value exchange. What are you giving that vendor for the higher fee? And how eloquently can you put that across? I'm charging a higher fee to you because I deliver the following results for the following reasons, and that is why I demand a higher fee. Some people will accept that and want that. That's why we have vast varieties in retail pricing and very many services that we take as consumers. But it's about the delivery of that message, the confidence that Amy speaks of. You get that confidence, and you can run with it and you can roll with it. You're not going to win them all, but the more you win at a better fee, is a potentially better business that you can then concentrate more on. And I think that's probably where I would be. Okay,
Christian, what did you do in Scandinavia?
So, I mean, for us, look, with landlords, it's really important that you understand what they really want out of it. And fundamentally, I think the core underpinning for most landlords, regardless of rent, is that they want tenants who are going to pay the rent, leave when they're meant to leave, and are going to take good care of the property. So anything you can do to statistically back that up when you're sat in front of someone, we can sit in front of our landlords and we can say that in 16 and a half years, we've had 3 major rent arrears. And 2 of those, we agreed a voluntary surrender of tenancy agreement, a payment plan, courts weren't involved, and so, that is genuinely the core underpinning of what landlords are concerned about. That's one of their biggest fears. So answer that fear. Secondly, if you can, try and have a bona fide USP. As agents, we all claim to do things differently, but actually 90% of us, or probably more than that, all claim that those unique things we do are the same things that our competitors, our neighbours, our mates halfway across the country claim to do. We at Base, we developed a couple of services that still to this day I don't know any other agent does, and those are, we teach our tenants property life skills. So we teach them things like how to bleed a boiler, how to, all that sort of stuff, and that saves landlords money. So try and come up with something, and then you can say, look, you can go to any other agent, but you categorically won't get this anywhere else. So if you want our service with that add-on, you've got to come to us, and that's the fee that we charge for it.
Okay, final word with Bob. You've got 30 seconds.
What I'm going to say, unique things. Everybody says the same thing. The thing that can be unique is that you're the only agent that actually does what all of the others say they do.
I think the magic thing is that, remember, people make decisions based on emotion, not logic. That's the way we all work. We base it on emotion and use logic to back it up. Most agents sell the other way around, with logic first. So if you can get them emotionally bought in, they should be able, and logically they should want to buy you, then you'll be absolutely fine. So I just want to say thank you very much to everyone today for being on this ICG webinar. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. So wave goodbye to the boys and girls in the estate agency and letting agency land. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining me.